Hello and welcome. Welcome. How are you? Welcome to Hot Tea with Holly. I got a surprise for you. It is June, end of June, almost July, and I am in Southern California where it is hot. So today's surprise is that it's not hot tea with Holly today, it's iced tea with Holly. How are you? Welcome. If you are here for the first time, I'm Holly and I help you use strength training and intentional nutrition to create the body that you need, the body that you want so that you can live a bigger and better life. Cheers. If you are here with me live, please say hello. Are you having a hot beverage? And if you're watching this in playback, hello. So we air this episode live every Tuesday, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, over on my Holly Perkins fitness page on Facebook. So if you ever want to join live and join the conversation, come on over there here on Tuesdays, because part of the goal for these broadcasts is for me to teach on a relevant topic that I find interesting and that pretty much always comes from a question within the community. And I'm here to provide a resource for you for any questions that you may have. So if you are struggling with your nutrition or your strength training or creating better body composition and the lean, fit, athletic body that you want, come on over because I would be more than happy to answer your questions. So welcome. And if you're watching this in playback, please send me an email and say hello. I'm so glad you're here. Cheers. Let me tell you about my newfound absolute favorite beverage for hot days, or if you're someone who just doesn't love hot tea. If you've been here before, you know that I love hot tea. It's either a PG Tips black tea or it is a Japanese sencha green tea for the most part at this time of day. So today, what I discovered, which I absolutely love, is PG Tips brewed, then cooled, and then iced with a little bit of maple syrup and some fresh lime juice. It is to die for. It is so amazing. So, you know how traditional iced tea often has a lemon in it? I just thought it would be cool to give it a little bit of a spin. So, it's kind of like a little southern sweet tea with some lime in it. And it is just so delicious. I've been addicted to it and I have been drinking it for the past week. Welcome. Today we are talking about, hold on, let me get my notes up here. Today we are talking about travel and nutrition and how to stay on track specifically with your nutrition when you're away from home. Because here's the deal, it's so easy to stay on track with your good nutrition habits when you're at home, when you're preparing food for yourself or your family, and you can control the oil or the salt or the amount of butter or sugar that goes into the foods that you're making. It's so easy to stay on track when you're at home. But what I've noticed in all these years of coaching women is that they get thrown off track when they're thrown off track. And nothing throws you out of whack faster than travel or having to eat away from home. I get this question all the time. So, in case you missed it, one of my signature programs is the Nutrition Project. And we just kicked off the most recent live round of the Nutrition Project about a month ago, a little bit more, about 5 weeks ago. And we are really diving deep and workshopping all the different ways that you can really strategize and take action with your nutrition to feel better, have better energy, reduce hunger, reduce cravings, really optimize your nutrition so that you can manage the hunger and the appetite so that you can lose weight or perform better or improve digestive health. And it's so easy when you are workshopping what you're eating at home. But as soon as you get away from home, it is a whole lot harder to stay on track. So, this question has been coming up a lot for the women inside of the Nutrition Project around, okay, so how do I do this when I'm on vacation? How do I do this when I'm flying 4 times per week? Or how do I do this when I go over to a friend's house for a celebratory dinner? And that's what we're going to be talking about today is how to stay on track with your nutrition when you're traveling or when you're just away from your own home kitchen. So welcome. If you're here for the first time, please say hello. So here's the deal. This is the way that I look at it. Travel absolutely can throw you off track and out of whack. For me personally, it has historically always been the thing that disrupts my good phase and good flow of habits. So, can you relate to a time where you got into groove, you were in sync for a few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 weeks? You're really on track with all of your actions. You're in the groove, you've got this good momentum going, you're loving where you are, you're on track with your shopping and your meal prep, you know exactly what you should be eating, and things are just humming along in a great way. And then, boom, all of a sudden, you get thrown off track. So, for me, that thing is always what we call a pattern interrupt. Anytime I'm thrown off my patterns, I get off track and out of whack. And so it's a very common thing. One of the biggest things, probably the biggest thing for me really is travel. When I need to leave my home kitchen and get on an airplane and go someplace, that is generally what throws me off track the most. And the truth is, I think that's the case for a lot of us. But when you really stop and think about it, why is that? The truth is, when you're out in the world surrounded by restaurants and convenient food, it's almost easier to stay on track if you think about it. So, one of the most important things that we're going to talk about today is simply a mindset shift. Because if all of a sudden you start to look at eating in a restaurant as having a personal chef at your fingertips, doesn't that become so much easier to follow your good nutrition habits when you look at it that way? But instead, what I've experienced from coaching women now for 30 years is that when we enter the world and we go to a new city or a new location or even an airport, all of a sudden there's a lot of fun foods that are put in front of us. And there's this sort of let's call it vibe of fun foods and wanting to splurge a little, and therefore relating vacation or travel or celebrations with celebratory, fun, splurgy food. But it doesn't have to be that way, does it? That's just something that we have come to associate. And we've come to think of travel and celebrations as a time and a departure from our good habits so that we can have a little fun. So, today, I want you to think about that for a moment. What is it that really throws you off track with your nutrition the most? And let's workshop it. Is it travel? Is it having to eat out at a restaurant? And I want you to ask yourself, why is that? Why is that I get so off track when I have to go to my in laws for the weekend, or when I go away for a weekend, or when I have to travel for 2 days for work? Why is it exactly? I want you to ponder that now and throughout today's episode. We are going to be talking about how to order at restaurants. We're going to be talking about what foods to bring with you during air travel days. Hold on, let me move my windows around here, guys, because you know me, if I can't see things properly, I get way off track. And if my bangs are out of order, not a good look. Welcome. If you're here with me live, please say hello. What's your beverage? You gotta try this. Heidi is here, and Holly and Jane. Hello, how are you? Heidi, I can't see you because you are behind my screen. There we go. Cellchem Ultima Replenisher, L-glutamine powder, and branched chain amino acids. If that's all in one beverage, my friend, let's have a conversation, because Cellchem takes care of all of those things. You actually don't need to add the Ultima Replenisher, the L-glutamine, and the branched chain amino acids into your Cellchem. It's all in your Cellchem, but more on that later. So let's jump in. We're also going to be talking about what foods to bring with you during travel days, how to address fun eating and wanting to splurge, and how to structure meals each day when you are away from home. We're going to talk about how to pack food for travel and what you can take to set yourself up for success. And I'm even going to tell you exactly what I take on travel days, because let's get real. Travel days are really the biggest disruptor. And have you noticed that once you get thrown off track, there's a tendency to be like, oh, well, I'm off track. When in Rome, I might as well just continue to splurge, because there's nothing that's going to derail you faster than this mindset that if you're off track, oh, well, I might as well go ahead and enjoy the donut, or I might as well enjoy the pizza, or it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm starving. I might as well go ahead and eat fast food. Am I right? As soon as you have a departure from your good eating habits, there's such a tendency to then think, well, I'm already off track. I might as well enjoy it and get back on track tomorrow, right? Give me a comment, give me a yes, give me a like if this applies for you, because that's such a common thing I hear from my clients as well as the women in my coaching programs, that it's like, oh, well, I'm off track. So I might as well just get back on track tomorrow. But if you can change that perspective and instead get back on track at your very next meal, then that splurge or that meal that's off track just doesn't really become very impactful. Here's the deal. It's what you do on a consistent basis that shows up in your body. It's not that splurgy brunch that you had on Sunday or the margaritas and chips that you had on Thursday. It's what you do consistently. I find the 80-20 principle really does hold up here. It's what you do 80% of the time creates your results. You've got 20% wiggle room to have some fun or to get off track or to make a mistake or to stumble around the chocolate chip cookies. You've got 20% of the time for real, that if you're off track or if you're like not perfect 20% of the time, it doesn't matter. And if you give yourself a month or two or three to really explore this, you'll see you actually don't have to be perfect all the time to get the perfect body or to get the body that you want. This was a huge revelation for me years ago. I really believed that in order to get a lean, athletic body or achieve the body weight or the body composition that I wanted, that I had to start on Monday and be perfect for 12 weeks. And you really don't, especially if you've got over that muscle tipping point that we've talked about in the past. So if you, like me, love to use strength training to improve your metabolism and improve your lean muscle mass, be sure to come over to my website, hollyperkins.com. Check out my blog post, The Muscle Tipping Point. Because once you get over the muscle tipping point, that 80-20 rule really becomes more like 70-30. You can be off track with your nutrition efforts more like 30% of the time, the more muscle you have. And this is why I'm such an advocate for building lean muscle mass and strength training. Because literally, once you get over that muscle tipping point and you've got more muscle, you've got a lot more wiggle room. If I took the week and really showed you guys what I eat on the regular these days, I think you'd be shocked. I'm a little shocked myself to find that I'm at a lower body weight that I've been at for a long time. And my diet is more off track than it's ever been. But because 80% of the time I'm on, and when I'm on 80% of the time, I am dialing in my macronutrients. And even when I'm splurging that 30% of the time, I now have an intuitive approach and I know how much protein I need to balance out the glass of wine that I had last night or the chips and guacamole that I had on Saturday. I know what I need to do on the fly to balance it, so that I am actually always staying really close to my macronutrient distribution, my calorie intake, and I get to have fun 30% of the time. And while I'm not super lean and fit right now, I'm really happy with my body weight. I'm really happy with my body size. I look pretty good. And I'm at a great maintenance place where when I'm ready to shift gears and get on it and get lean again, it's going to happen like that because I'm in such a great place. So, a lot of this when you're eating away from home is to understand that 20% of the time, if you're just trying to stay on track, it's not going to throw you out of whack in terms of your body goals. So let's jump in. If you're just popping in live, today we are talking about how to stay on track with your nutrition when you're away from home, and more specifically, when you're traveling or when you need to eat in a restaurant. This can also apply to when you have to have a celebratory dinner at someone else's house, or if you're visiting the in laws on the weekends, this is for you. So let's jump in. First, we're going to start with something that absolutely has to happen, which is, hold on one second, let me adjust my window here so I can see it a little better. There we go. The first thing that we want to address is your mindset. I want you to think of it this way, specifically around travel. When you are away from your home and you are around restaurants, convenience stores, grocery stores, and let's call it convenience foods and restaurants and fast food, in many ways, if you shift your perspective so that your filter is number one, when you're away from your home, you have a lot more exposure to a lot more foods. Think about it. There is food everywhere you turn, whether it's a supermarket, a convenience store like a 7-Eleven or the corner convenience store, or a restaurant or an airport. You almost have the pick of what you need to eat if you start to look at it that way. That's the first thing, is to open up your mind, shift your mindset and say, "Ooh, I'm at the airport. There are a million things that I could choose for my nutrition right now." So the next question becomes, what is your focus? Now, if you joined me for the Learn to Eat workshop, you know something that I talk about inside of the Nutrition Project is called the Mealtime Mantra. And the Mealtime Mantra is a framework where one of the first steps points you in the direction of one of the very most important questions. And this is what I ask myself every single time I eat. Number one, what is my protein going to be? What is my protein? Because protein is the thing that's hardest to get clear on, no matter where you are. What is my protein and how much do I need? If I'm at an airport, is there some place where I can get a turkey burger or some grilled turkey or grilled chicken? Or if you're vegan or vegetarian, is there some place that I can get some protein powder in a smoothie or some version of tofu or tempeh or even fish or eggs? Because when you start to ask yourself, what's my protein, and look around at what your options are, it gets a whole lot easier. So the first thing is to shift your mindset to start to think, okay, whoo, I am traveling and I'm at a restaurant. Pick up that menu, scan the menu, and look for any protein you can find on that menu, because if grilled chicken is on the menu, grilled chicken is in the kitchen, and you can turn it into a salad. You could turn it into a plate of grilled chicken and sautéed vegetables. Scan that menu and look, is there broccoli on the menu? Is there kale on the menu? Is there Swiss chard? Is there asparagus? Is there sweet potato or roasted potatoes or brown rice? Because if it's on the menu, it's in the kitchen and you can make a special request. So, in some ways, I always think of going out to a restaurant and being like, ooh, I've got my own personal chef for the hour. What do I need to eat to help me stay on track and enjoy my food? So, the first step today in terms of traveling and staying on track with your nutrition is to really get clear with the mindset that you've got a lot more options than you realize and plan out your eating points, those points throughout the day, so that you're already on top of what protein options do I have here? What am I going to have at the airport? So the first thing is really get your mindset on straight. The second thing is when you're at restaurants, really, just like I said, look at this as an opportunity to have a personal chef. Now, a lot of us feel uncomfortable being difficult or making a special request. And I personally find that this is a bit of a fine line here because we all know that person, or many of us know that person, who's particularly picky when they go out to a restaurant and they're overly picky about what they're eating and the requests that they're making on the kitchen. And there is a fine line here, but there's a way to advocate for what you need in a friendly manner without being difficult. And no matter whom you're with, it really leads by example. And so while there might be a part of you that's like, ooh, I feel uncomfortable drawing attention to myself, or being difficult to the wait staff or to the kitchen, it can be done in a very diplomatic, friendly way where you're also advocating for your health and for your happiness in a way that also leads by example to the people that are observing you. And I've really been able to find a way to do it really in a respectable way where I walk away. Often I get comments thrown back to me that's like, wow, I really like how you spoke up and asked for what you wanted in a very polite, friendly way that makes people want to support you and serve you. And if you're with family or friends, so often they're influenced by you in a very positive way. This is a great opportunity to be the voice of health and happiness around food to the people that you're with. So, when you are at restaurants, as I already said, or when you're traveling, and no matter where you are, take that moment and really just look at what are my options every time I go to a restaurant. I first ask myself what I'm kind of in the mood for. Do I want something light? Do I want something heavier? Do I want something hot? Do I want something cold? And what is my protein going to be? I look at the menu. And those of you guys that know me know I try to minimize how much chicken I eat. My primary protein is turkey. And pretty much every single day, I look out for where I can get some turkey in because it is my animal based complete protein, a real, what I call kind of a hearty protein that works well for my body. Most of the world chooses grilled chicken a lot of times. Turkey is my go to as I don't eat a lot of chicken. So most of the time when I'm out and about, I'm always looking, where can I find turkey? And now listen, I'm not making the suggestion that that would work for you. That's just through strategy and education. I know that that's what works for my body, and turkey really does keep me on the straight and narrow. And so probably about once a day, there's turkey in the mix somewhere. I already had turkey bacon for breakfast today as my protein. Yesterday I had some grilled turkey breast. The night before I had some ground turkey. Mixed with some sweet potatoes and some tomato sauce, believe it or not, which was actually really delicious. So turkey is in the mix for me pretty much every single day. And when I'm out and about in the world, I am looking at, okay, where can I get my hands on either deli turkey slices? Do I need to stop at a grocery store to pick up some deli turkey slices before I travel? Or is there some form of turkey or fish on the menu at a restaurant that could serve as my protein? When you're at restaurants, really just remember, what is your ultimate goal? And what were your habits at home? What would you do at home right now for this meal? And can you mimic it at a restaurant? Is there a way that you can look at their different dishes and really construct a meal that would look very similar to what you would have at a restaurant. Next, let's talk about packing food for travel because I think that's super, super important. And that is a big one that comes up. I can't tell you. Probably every single week, someone asks me, hey, what can I take? I'm traveling this week. What are foods that I can take to make it easier? And, to me, I certainly understand why this is such a big question because at the outset, it's really hard to be like, well, how do I travel with a salad? And the truth is, you probably are not going to want to travel with a salad, right? But there are certain go to foods that travel really well. The first thing is to look at what are your sources of protein. Sorry, I'm having a trouble with my eye and my glasses and all of that again, you guys. You're going to get the eye twitch. There are certain foods that travel really, really well. And again, here, I think it's important to ask yourself what proteins can I take with me that travel well? I am a huge fan of jerky meats, turkey jerky, beef jerky. I know there's even like salmon jerky and, alternative jerkies out there. But beef jerky and turkey jerky, I think there's also chicken jerky out there, tend to work well for the majority of women in my community. And thankfully, there are now a variety of up-leveled, elevated jerky options on the market. You can find chicken and beef and turkey jerky that doesn't have sugar, that doesn't have a lot of preservatives. And I always, when I'm traveling, have some form of turkey jerky on me. Trader Joe's has great options. Whole Foods has great options. I'm a huge fan of the Chomps brand. I absolutely love pretty much all of their products. I buy them by the box on Amazon as often as possible. I've always got the venison on me, the turkey jerky, the beef jerky, the jalapeno turkey, the pepperoni turkey. I mean, there's so many of them that I absolutely love, and it's 10 grams of protein per turkey stick or beef stick, jerky stick. Jerkies travel really, really well. Hard boiled eggs don't have to be refrigerated, and they also travel really well and are a great source of protein to have on you. A lot of times, I've got a scoop or two of protein shake with me, sorry, protein powder with me in a Ziploc bag that I can add to something. Collagen is also something to take, whether it's a single serve packet or again, put it in a Ziploc bag and take it with you. Because, worst case scenario, you could stop and pick up an almond milk decaf latte and throw your collagen into it. And boom, there you've got some protein, and you could pair it with a banana and a handful of nuts, and you've got a perfectly packed snack to take with you or to grab at the airport. Collagen powder, protein powder in a single serve container in a packet or in a Ziploc bag works great. If you really get creative, there are recipes out there where you can actually create a recipe ahead of time, put it in some tinfoil, and take it with you. Inside of the Nutrition Project, I've got about 50 really incredible recipes, and many of them can be traveled with. So, for example, you might be aware of my Protein Perfect breakfast cake. If you don't know my Protein Perfect breakfast cake, come on over to my blog, hollyperkins.com. Find the blog, just go over to my blog page, use the search feature in the top right corner, and just search Protein Perfect breakfast cake. If you make that ahead of a time and you portion it out, fold it up in tinfoil, you can take it with you. It will go through security and TSA just fine. And that's something that you can travel with. It makes it so easy. So what are some of your go-to foods that you could make ahead of time that you could wrap up in some tinfoil, potentially put it in a cooler and take it with you? There were years that I always traveled with a cooler. In fact, there were years when I was so committed to getting my body where I wanted it to be that I traveled with a huge cooler. I would have my handbag on one shoulder and I would have my cooler on the other shoulder. And I never once had an issue with TSA with my cooler, provided All of the foods that you're bringing along are solids. You can't take liquids and you can't take something that resembles a pudding or a sauce. So you can't take cottage cheese or yogurt or like a chia pudding. Anything like that will not get through TSA. But as long as it is solid or frozen when it goes through your TSA checkpoint, it will get through. There were times where I would really time out my travel day and I would take liquids frozen, knowing that it would still be frozen when I got through TSA. But then a few hours later, it would be defrosted and I could use it or drink it and consume it on the other end of where I was going. So as long as it's frozen or solid going through TSA, you can take it. A cooler is a great way to do this. And from my perspective, the best tool inside of a cooler are those solid bricks that you freeze and refreeze as compared to those soft gel packets. The soft gel packets tend to defrost quicker than those solid plastic, I call them bricks. They almost look like a water bottle or a heating, yeah, like a water bottle, like a frozen water bottle, right? Or like a solid hard plastic water bottle. And they freeze up completely firm. In my experience, those tend to stay solid and frozen a lot longer and get through TSA better than the soft gel packets. Throw a couple of those in your cooler, and whatever you put inside of your cooler, make sure that it's solid and it will get through TSA. The one thing I've been surprised about lately that I've been doing in the past, I would say past year, is that I've become a fan of salad kits. Now, I know salad kits are convenience food and they're not exactly the healthiest thing that you could put together. There's a lot of junk in the salad dressing. Some of them are so delicious that they've got ingredients in it that maybe are not ideal depending on your dietary needs or strategies. So, in no way am I saying a salad kit is like the healthiest food ever, but it's a really incredible convenience food. And I would much rather grab the sweet kale salad kit knowing what the ingredients are than picking up a salad at a fast food restaurant or someplace at the airport where I'm not exactly sure what's going into the salad dressing or the ingredients. So I've become a huge fan of salad kits. And what I do on travel days is I stop at the grocery store on the way out of town before I hit the airport and I pick up a salad kit or two. And a lot of times, once I get through TSA, I just open up my salad kit and eat it on the fly. Therefore, that little packet of salad dressing, which is in the kit, has been getting through TSA. Now, I don't know if that's because it's less than 3 ounces and maybe that's why it's getting through TSA, or if it's because it's inside of the salad kit and they're not able to see the liquid. I don't know, but salad kits have been getting through TSA just fine for me. And I literally just throw them in my bag and stick it through the x ray machine. It's not even in a cooler, it's just in my bag and it gets through great. So, the key to packing food for travel, number one, is consider using a cooler. And also keep in mind that a lot of foods don't actually need to be cooled. You can bring nuts, you can bring hard boiled eggs, as I said. There are a lot of foods like fruit and vegetables that don't need to be refrigerated. You can take them with you, they're easy to eat on the fly, and they don't require refrigeration. And if you are bringing something like deli turkey slices and you want to keep it cool, pack that cooler, get a small little cooler, and just make sure that your freezer packs are solid when you get through TSA. I've always got food on me when I go to the airport. I don't ever go to the airport without food on me, of course, unless it's an emergency, even if I'm having to stop at a grocery store on the way out of town. I've always got a lot of options. And these days, I pretty much don't buy anything at an airport or on the airplane because I've always got enough food to get me through the day. Now, I pretty much always stop for either a latte or a green tea or some kind of hot caffeinated beverage. But outside of that, unless it's a banana here or a hard boiled egg there, I pretty much don't spend any money at the airport or on the airplane when I travel because I keep my goal as being make sure that I set myself up for an entire day of travel with all the food that I need so that I don't have to be in a position where I'm hungry and then I have to grab a convenience food when I'm starving. Questions and comments. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section now. Let's move along. And I want to talk about how to structure your meals each day when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling either for work or for vacation, because these are the times when your day is a bit more uncertain. Your day is not necessarily as structured as you'd like it to be. And to some degree, here, there's also that mindset perspective and shift where you gotta be okay getting off track a little bit. When I'm traveling, I never expect to stay on point 100%. I know I'm going to be off track that 20 or that 30%. And so I just try to make the best decisions I can during that 80% of the day so that I've got the 30% and just knowing, oh, well, it's not going to be perfect and that's okay. Let's just roll with it, especially if you're on vacation. Now, in a moment, we're going to talk about the psychology, how to navigate vacation foods or wanting to have fun or wanting some indulgences or some splurges that you wouldn't normally eat in your normal daily life and wanting to kind of like relax a bit and enjoy fun foods when you're on vacation or when you're traveling for work. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I think structuring the meals of your day is super important. If you can let your goal be to have two well rounded, solid meals per day, you're going to set yourself up for success. And you get to decide, is that breakfast and dinner? And then lunch is sort of haphazard or on the fly? Or maybe it looks more like a large snack, or maybe it's convenient foods or travel portable foods, like I've talked about before. Pick the meals, the two solid meals that you're going to eat each day, and kind of plan out what they're going to look like. So, if it's going to be breakfast, how are you going to construct that well made breakfast meal so that your macronutrients are balanced? Is it breakfast and lunch? Where are you going to have lunch and at what time of day will it be? Or would you prefer to have a light breakfast and eat a restaurant lunch and a restaurant dinner? Plan it out, but really set your goal for having two specific solid meals. And then the rest of the day, eat more strategically. Eat every 3 to 4 hours just to keep your blood sugar stable. Make sure that you're combining some protein with some carbohydrates to keep the blood sugar stable. And don't forget, alcohol is a carbohydrate. So even if you are on vacation and you're wanting to indulge with more alcohol than you would normally drink, make sure that you're pairing it with your turkey jerky or your beef jerky so that you're getting some protein in alongside of the alcohol. Or wherever you're getting your alcohol, order a grilled chicken salad with it or some kind of an appetizer that's got a protein or some grilled chicken or grilled turkey or grilled fish with it so that you're getting the protein and the fat in with the alcohol so that your blood sugar stays stable. This is a big one because often what I see with my clients when they're traveling or when they're on vacation, they're trying to construct 3 meals throughout the day. And they end up being meals that are a little bit bigger or fuller or more filling than they want. And they just end up overeating. So instead, if you really just try to plan it out that you're going to have two well constructed meals and you're going to do your best to make them as healthy as you can, It makes the rest of the day easier, and it also kind of hedges your bet away from overeating and getting more calories in than you really need, so that when you come back from vacation, you're not completely thrown off track. And then last, let's talk about the psychology around indulgences, because this is a big one that I see a lot when people go on vacation, right? There's that sort of vacation mentality where you just want to enjoy, you want to eat the chips and the guacamole every day. You want to eat those splurgy foods and the fun at the fun restaurants. And on the one hand, you do want to allow that for yourself, but I really look at this as very strategic indulgences. Pick your battles, because again, you've got some wiggle room here. You can have the indulgences here or there and still stay on track if they're structured. It's when they start to become too frequent, or when at every single meal, your mindset is, oh, I'm on vacation. I'm going to go ahead and let myself overeat. I'm going to indulge. I'm going to enjoy it. And oh, to the heck with it. I might as well just eat whatever I want. It's when you don't have a structure or a strategy that it tends to really derail you. Pick your splurge each day and choose one or two of your favorite indulgences and really plan them out. Make sure that you're balancing them with carbohydrates or protein or fat, whatever macronutrient you need to balance it out to keep your blood sugar stable for the day, and allow yourself that indulgence guilt free. So maybe you really love dessert. And that means if you're going to be planning a restaurant meal at night and you want to enjoy dessert, let that be your intention. But then that means maybe lunch doesn't include the French fries. Maybe in lunch doesn't include the cocktail or the fattier foods or the higher sugar foods during the day. Maybe then that is your goal and that is your structured indulgence that you're then going to really and truly enjoy during that meal. Or if you're someone who really loves French toast and pancakes for breakfast, maybe that will be your indulgence one day. And then the rest of the day, you really eat healthy and make the best choices that you can. And maybe that night, you're not having the dessert because you enjoyed the French toast or the pancakes at breakfast. Each day, pick the one thing that you really want. Give yourself a reasonable quantity, enjoy it guilt free, but then get back on track until the next day when you're going to be strategic about what that day's indulgence is. And then once you get your fill, maybe it's out of your system and then you get back on track, eating very specifically and not feeling like you need those indulgences or those splurges as much because you've already enjoyed them. I think there's a big part of this sort of like indulgence guilt feedback. It's like you want the thing, but then you feel guilty. And then that really sets in motion a disorder, if you will. But instead, if you really want the cheeseburger and fries, have it, enjoy it, allow it, let it be gratifying, because you might then find that at the next meal, you don't really feel so much that you need that indulgence. It's a little bit of a mindset gameplay, but it really is powerful stuff. And it can work because once you feel like you can have the indulgences, it takes out of the equation this weird um, game or storyline that we get into, that it's like, I want it, but I shouldn't have it. Oh, but I want it, but I shouldn't have it. I'm going to allow it. Now I feel guilty. That's where we really get into trouble, rather than stopping and asking yourself, do I really want the donut? Yes or no? Is it really worth it? Yes or no? Am I able to enjoy this food guilt free? Yes or no? And if you can enjoy it guilt free and you really want it and you know you can have it and enjoy it, have it. Because at the next choice point, you might find, the chocolate chip cookie looks good. I don't really feel like I need it. I can walk by it this time. And if I eat it, I'm just going to feel yucky and feel guilty about it. So this time, let's not do it. And let's wait for the opportunity when you really feel that you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be guilt free and you feel like you absolutely want to have it. And it is absolutely a yes. Because if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I find that this really holds up with all dietary choices. If it's not a hell yes when it comes to a splurge, it's a hell no. And you're going to feel either guilty about it, or you're going to feel like you didn't enjoy it, or you're going to feel like it wasn't necessary. Questions and comments. Let me switch over my screen and see who's here and what questions you guys have. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Holly Miles. I'm so glad that you are here. Hi, Joanne. Missing the Saturday workouts. I know I've gotten a couple of messages from people who are missing the live Saturday workouts, and thank you for that. I do anticipate at some point they will return, but you can always take advantage of the recordings over on my blog page. Melissa Tagano, how are you? I will be listening in on playback. Awesome. So glad you are here. Heidi, have you ever had watermelon crunch? Oh, I have not, but I've seen it. Watermelon crunch salad kit from Taylor Farms. My husband says it's really good. He eats salad kits every day. Interesting. This one is lower calorie than many of them out there. Interesting. I've seen it. I've tried pretty much almost all of the Taylor Farms. I think they come up with such creative, amazing tasting salad kits, and some of them are definitely more splurgy than the others, for sure, for sure. And I've seen the watermelon crunch, but I felt a little like I was sort of like, I'm not so sure about that. So I haven't tried it. But the Thai mango one is delicious and also better calorie wise. I love the sweet kale because there are no grains and there's no dairy in it. It's literally just vegetables and seeds and dried fruit. And so that's the one that I default the most to, just because dietarily it works for me. It's definitely higher in fat. Um, but I'm going to be on the lookout for the watermelon crunch. You can't find it everywhere. You have to go to a grocery store that's really got a good selection to find the watermelon crunch, because that's the one that I don't see very often. Mary Tanny, so good you're here. Januaria, how are you? Oh my gosh, so glad that you are here. Do you ever have fully vegan meals? That's a great question. Um, I do from time to time. The problem for me is with a fully vegan meal is I really do have to make sure that I'm getting a solid amount of protein. And when it comes to fully vegan meals, I struggle to get enough protein that is not grain or bean based. So, Januaria, this is a tricky question for me because I have very particular dietary needs that are different than other people. So, my role is interesting because I'm here in part as an expert providing insights for you and to support the women in my community that are vegan. But my personal dietary needs, because of my autoimmune disorder and restrictions, are very different. The biggest reason why I don't eat vegan often is because of the limitations in food choices. I have to be very careful with grains and with legumes and beans. And in order to get enough food and enough calories to satisfy me, I can't rely on the grains and the beans that generally are in a vegan diet. Fruit works for me, vegetables work for me. And it's hard for me to get enough protein that's free from grains and beans. So, for example, yesterday I was actually doing research on vegan protein powders. So, some of you know that one of my favorite protein powders is a beef protein powder, and it's getting harder to find beef protein powders that are clean and pure that I really like and enjoy. My favorite beef protein powder has been out of stock for a while. And so I can't do egg white protein powder. I won't do dairy protein powder. So vegan is kind of my only other option. And I was researching vegan protein powders. Pretty much all of them have grain protein as their protein source. It's either a, um, you know, brown rice protein powder, pea protein I can deal with, I can handle that, but I'm often seeing a lot of quinoa, sprouted brown rice, millet, amaranth. Some of them will have adzuki bean or mung bean protein powder. So a lot of them have grains and legumes and beans as their protein source, and I can't do that. So in order to keep my macronutrients balanced, which Januaria, as you know, um, my ultimate priority when it comes to eating is hitting a macronutrient distribution, I believe is absolutely paramount. And then secondarily to that is choosing the foods that work for my unique needs. And that means I can't eat a lot of grains. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat chicken. I don't eat a lot of beans. And I have to be very careful with those foods. So therefore, because those are my two priorities, it makes eating vegan really hard for me, really, really hard for me. And that's the only reason I don't. There were times in my life where I would do a fully vegan day, and I just really do not feel well. For my body, I don't feel well when I try to go vegan, and I also have a really hard time feeling well just eating a ton of fruits and vegetables. I can't get enough calories in. I'm someone who needs a lot of calories. I eat anywhere from 18 to 2,400 calories most days, and sometimes that's not enough. And so it's just really, really hard for me. But I do encourage it for those of you guys. I legitimately and genuinely really do encourage exploring a vegan lifestyle if that aligns with your health goals or if it aligns with your global and humanitarian beliefs. I think it's a great thing to explore, but I do think it's really important to be strategic around it. Jan Maria, have you tried insect protein powders? I haven't, but they're not vegan, right? So that doesn't really resolve the issue or the question around a vegan protein powder. I mean, technically, insect protein powders aren't vegan, right? Um, yeah, in January, thank you. Sacha inchi is actually a grain. So a lot of people don't know that it is a grain, and that is like what Vega uses as their primary protein powder is Sacha inchi, and it's grain. So I've also found that has been problematic for me, right? But the insect protein powders, I think, make a lot of sense. And conceptually, I think it's really smart. But they've been on the market now for 15 years, 10 to 15 years, and they just haven't grown in popularity. I think because people don't like the idea of eating insects. It just seems weird. And I know it's not. A lot of cultures eat them. It makes a lot of sense. Um, I think I've struggled to have an open mind towards them. And but if I could try like a sample packet of them, I would. I'm curious if how they taste. They might taste totally fine. It's like beef protein powder tastes awesome. Egg white protein powder tastes great. The protein, powder itself, the isolated proteins often don't have a lot of flavor. So I'd be curious. And Jen Maria, thank you for that suggestion. I kind of want to look into that. Yeah. That is it for today, guys. Any questions? I hope you found this helpful. If so, please let me know. I would love to know if this type of information, if you're watching this in playback, do let me know, add a comment or send me an email and just let me know if you found it helpful. I know this is a question that I get asked a lot, and so I hope you have found it relevant. Hopefully, I will see you live one of these times. If you're watching this in playback, join me over on Facebook, Holly Perkins Fitness, every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on the East Coast. And if you're watching it in playback, I'll see you next time. Have a great day.